Welcome back to Port Elizabeth, the beautiful city. This is part 21. I'm going through a series of PowerPoints that I created some 5 years ago, or started creating then, based on walks that I'd done in which I took photographs of various important historical parts of the city. On this occasion, on the 8th of October 2014, I did quite a substantial amount of walking and photographing, and started off with the Phoenix Hotel in Chapel Street. I looked in at the Opera House, which we haven't seen really yet, and also St. George's Park. So this is kind of from that PowerPoint, but to move back a step, we learn here that the Opera House was established in 1892, and the Phoenix Hotel, let's just have a look further here. The original Phoenix Hotel was built in 1837, which was just a small, basically a house type of accommodation on the Market Square. This was before the town hall was even erected in the early 1860s. And I actually interviewed the owner of the Phoenix Hotel, which is now, I believe, after COVID, been essentially closed and doesn't function anymore after, 150 odd years, maybe close to 180. Anyway, he said that of the present premises that I visited at 5 Chapel Street, half of the building was already standing by 1890, and the second, a mirror image of the first, was added around sometime in the early 20th century. So even that building is quite historic. So it has a pub called the Stage Door, which hosted many a celebrity of the stage, and you'll see photographs signed by these actors and so forth from the 20th century. And okay, so the Opera House was established in 1892, and it's just literally a stone's throw from the Stage Door pub and Phoenix Hotel. So I then later looked in at the Opera House, which was, as we mentioned earlier, undergoing extensions and restorations within. And then later I went up to St. George's Park, which we'll come back to, but it was established in 1860 and covers 73 hectares, but is famous because it hosts the Port Elizabeth Cricket Club, the founding cricket club in South Africa. Also boasts the oldest bowling green in South Africa. And as we'll discover when we get to it, the first cricket and rugby test matches were held at St. George's Park. But let's start with the Phoenix. So here we're in Chapel Street. It's overcast. What year? Let's just see what month we were in here. October. Eh? So it should be summery, but we're getting towards sort of late spring, early summer. Cold and overcast, and this is Chapel Street. The bottom has been kind of spruced up with the upgrade to the Donkin Reserve, which is on the left there. That's looking down St. Mary's Terrace towards St. Mary's, which you can see up against the backdrop of that white building, which is the Art Deco one next to the library. Okay, so Chapel Street was always a busy street. There's a government department down this end here. I think it's the Receiver of Revenue. But here is the Phoenix Hotel. So it's got I suspect, a new facade. I mean, I doubt whether it would have started with that sort of thing, but we'll get a bit closer. Okay, so we go in that door there, and On the left, well, ahead of us here, but on the left as you come into the hotel was the stage door. And look at the floor tiles and the photographs on the wall of, as I mentioned, memorabilia. So this tells you a bit about the original Phoenix Hotel on the Market Square, where it was a stop for coaches if you were heading north into inland, you know. The Phoenix Hotel is admitted to be the largest and best conducted hotel in the colony. It adjoins the post office and Her Majesty's Customs. So that's the old customs house that I was telling you about in Fleming Street, and it's opposite the town hall. So by this stage, the town hall had been built. It's near the museum and library, both of which are the original ones, not the ones we're looking at currently. And the principal newspaper office, which is probably the Herald. And also near the Market Square, the Breakwater bathing place, and the advert published in London and Port Elizabeth, 1877. So this is the original Phoenix Hotel, and that's the original, no, the second customs house. So that's the new one on the in the harbour, built next to where the Campanile, before the Campanile went up in 1923. This thing was erected. Actually built in 1891 and had been destroyed by the time I got to PE in 1984. So estimate is that this photograph is from the 1890s. Lovely gardens in the foreground here. The Market Square would have been just back kind of where we are now, probably standing somewhere on the City Hall, viewed from upstairs in the City Hall somewhere, Town Hall as it was. Okay, so we're back in the new Phoenix Hotel, which had risen from the ashes. The old one was demolished. I mean, that building no longer exists. Enter as stranger. Strangers leave as friends, it says. And this pub just was so reminiscent of English pubs, because it's not that old, but it's, yeah, it's just got so much stashed away in it. And here's some of the photographs there. So my camera didn't pick it all up very well, but full of memorabilia and stuff. And even a cat here. This cat was the only thing really nicely in focus. So normally a hectically busy place, but on this occasion I went in the morning, they let me in and I walked around, barely a soul in sight. But I mean, I don't know if this was made to look old with all this kind of woodwork, dark woodwork, but it certainly does look old and British sort of pub-like. So no, I don't know what's become of this. I'll have to do another investigation at some point. Maybe I'll do a follow-up series on some of these places. But yeah, I've spent a few evenings having a toots in this pub. There's your African aspect with some sort of antelope head there. And signed photographs again. And then I explored elsewhere in the building. The backstage. So there must have been another little pub back there. And so there's also a restaurant, or there was, I don't know if it's still there, and packed with stuff. I mean, these were number plates from all over the world, but so much else, you know, you could actually just sit there and look at this stuff. I went upstairs and looking back at the main entrance, quite a humble single door entrance, beautiful tiles. And that's a photograph of, so the Phoenix Hotel was on the right here between, that's the actual original Custom House. I told you it was originally 2 stories and then they added a second. And this was the post office. It was the second, I think, post office. There used to be one on the other side of the market square in the first 30 years or so, 40 years. So what does it say? Fleming House is next to it. A bit of a closer view. So these photographs are actually in the Phoenix Hotel, which is where I managed to. This is the North Jetty, which was the main jetty in town. The station was established here. I don't know if this is before it was built. And then they got nice pictures of, there's the old original Opera House. It had this sort of interesting roof. And St. Augustine's Cathedral, the old post office, and a couple of interesting sort of harbour wall type things that have been built. South End across the river there. So, yeah, that would have been the Phoenix over there, City Hall. It's all a bit distorted because I had to take it at an angle. And actually this is the original Herald newspaper from the 7th of May 1845. It was just a single sheet like this, and of course it had an advert somewhere here for the Phoenix Hotel, which is why they kept this. And that nice photo of the original of the Donkin Pyramid and the lighthouse before it was extended vertically in 1930 odd. That's the library I think soon after it was built. Before they even put up Victoria's statue there. Bit of South End. And a restaurant that used to exist at Humewood, which was destroyed in the 1968 floods. So a lot of these pictures you can find in the book that I created, 200 Years, A Celebration of Port Elizabeth. It's available for 400 Rand, lovely coffee table book. Large format, 160 pages. So heading upstairs finally, and quite an interesting sort of interior, a lovely balustrade here. The stage door. This is the door, through which you enter the stage door. And here was this would have been an old public phone, but it's actually, it was locked, but it's full of little dinky cars, Matchbox toys, that sort of thing. the front door onto the street. There's a little plaque on there which says the Phoenix, as you see it here. So incredibly that hadn't been stolen, because anything that's made of metal now just gets thefted. On the exterior, so there's quite a loss if this place doesn't continue. So walking back towards the Opera House, which is there, it's had a new roof installed over the past century. And as I said, it was being restored generally inside. This interesting thing which probably has been stolen as well. Oh yes, this is the word I was trying to remember, Polly's Fair Deal Saloon. That sort of stuck in my memory because I want you to test drive our steaks. And here Marilyn Monroe says she never ate here. So that was quite a quirky thing, you know. So looking back at the stage door, what's left of it, and up towards the Donkin Reserve where the lighthouse is, and towards the Opera House where you can see work is underway, paintwork, etc. But we're going to look inside the Opera House. So this is a view we're still in Chapel Street. That's the width of the, so this would have been the stage door here for the Opera House. So as we go around into White's Road, so this is a corner of Chapel and White's, both renamed, sadly. And yeah, so that is the original, apart from the change to the roof, original Opera House. But we're going to stop it here and we'll enter the Opera House on our next video. Cheers.